We're off and running.
We're off and running. That's great. Well, hello, everyone who's here with us right now. Welcome to our third Thursday of the My Sun Solar Talks. There are a lot of exciting projects coming up that we'll be talking about, but tonight especially, I'm really excited that it's the Detroit third Thursday for the Michigan Solar Stories. I don't know if anyone has been with us last month, but now every Thursday will be the third Thursday will be a Detroit solar story. So tonight we have Ecoworks telling their solar story. My name is Diane Van Buren. I'm a board member with Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association, and we also have John Sarver with us with GLREA, who is the what do we call you, Jen? The godfather of my son, or something like that. So here's the schedule on your Thursday nights. That the first Thursday of each month is going to be Ann Arbor telling their solar stories, and Julie Roth with the Ann Arbor Solarize program is going to be the host, and she'll be featuring a house or a business that has gone solar. The second Thursday of the month, Mark Clevey, GLREA board member also, is going to have a monthly talk about clean energy. The third Thursday, as you know by now, is the Detroit Solar Stories. And then John is going to be hosting the fourth Thursday of each month with an energy Q&A, as well as telling other Michigan solar stories from around the state. It's important that you know that we do have financial sponsorship now from Eagle to host these events, and John does record them, and they're always available on the website and the Facebook page, I believe. Right, John?
YouTube channel.
Oh, the YouTube channel. Okay.
Yeah, we have a GLREA, Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association. Is, you know, if you search for Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association, you'll see our YouTube channel.
Okay. It's very exciting that GLREA is now in our 30th year as an organization. We discovered as we started strategic planning this year that the organization was formed in 1991. So we've come a long way. And there are different ways that you can help GLRE remain strong and looking to the future. So with that, I'm going to introduce our guest tonight. We have three folks telling the solar stories. Boy, this is a tongue twister. First of all, again, I said it was Ecoworks is going to be the host, but then we also have with us our good friend Kat, who is with Detroiters Working for Environmental Justice, who has produced a series of solar stories featuring different nonprofits, churches, really exciting different kinds of projects. The MOGOs that are here in Detroit, the bicycles, the MOGO stations are solar powered, and maybe that'll be our June event. Next month, we'll be looking at the first condo association that went solar here in Detroit. So Kat, would you like to set up the video for us and get it started?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, this is a video that features Ecoworks that my project partner, Alex De Vega, and I produced in December and released in January.
These are all definitely time dated when you see the masks that will know it was 2020 when these were produced.
So just
we'll also have some slides with both Henrik and Gibran after the video, and then time for Q&A. So Catherine Diggs, it's all yours.
Alrighty. So if anyone has any issue with the sound, just let me know. I can tweak it as we go.
And it's not that the sound isn't working right now. We're waiting for it to load.
Yeah, Diane, do you have to, I see your slides. Do you have to stop screen sharing?
Oh, I have to stop share? Okay,
Oh,
maybe
so
that's the
we're sharing
problem.
our screen right
Oh,
now.
okay. Okay.
That's a good catch. I would never have known.
Yeah, we're all new to this, right?
I did not know you could be two people sharing a screen.
Okay, so Kat, you're on.
Okay, so did no one see the beginning? I just start over?
You have to start over.
Okay, cool. And yeah, if you guys don't mind muting yourselves, I can't mute myself because otherwise we won't hear the sound at all. So I just have to be really quiet. But for everyone else, I recommend muting or there's going to be a lot of background noise. I'm just going to start over.
Hi, welcome to Ecoworks. My name is Henrik. I'm an energy analyst with our Strategic Community Initiatives Department. Ecoworks is a 39-year-old Detroit-based nonprofit working at the intersection of sustainability and community development. Gibran, do you want to share?
Yeah, and my name is Gibran Washington, and I'm the program manager and energy educator with the EcoD department for Ecoworks.
Cool, and can you guys give us a quick description of how Ecoworks walks the talk within its building in terms of its aspirations for energy efficiency, renewable?
Yeah, absolutely. So Gibran and I kind of co-chair our internal green building committee, and that's sort of the internal driving force behind a lot of our sustainability targets. So we acquired this building in 2017, and with an eye to walking the walk, we really wanted to be as energy efficient as possible. And so we went about it in a little bit of an interesting way. First up, we pursued an LED retrofit, which you can see throughout the building has been completed, so that's saving a significant amount of money. Then we pursued a large-scale solar installation, which we'll take a look at in a minute. And we are looking into converting it in an all-electric HVAC system as well.
Oh, awesome. And how have you guys been able to fund these projects within your building?
So Michigan Saves has been a great partner. We've explored all kinds of financing options through this, not only for our own projects, but just to have a reference point, for other partners. But yeah, we've leaned mostly on Michigan Saves for loans. Yeah, so Ecoworks as an organization has always been a proponent of clean energy, energy efficiency, all types of renewable energy. So moving into this building, we really took a very broad approach looking at what our potential options were. With this great flat roof that we had, solar was kind of like an immediate reaction. And we always try and work with our local government partners to promote solar. So for us, it was a natural fit.
So initially we, because we knew we had this roof that was available to us, a flat roof, we sized out what's the maximum capacity we could come in at, and we wouldn't go into like a large scale producer size category, but that's how we came to come up with our size, and then from there we just started looking for potential contractors that could install our system. At the time we were able to capture net metering credits. So became very incentivized for us to move forward a little sooner than maybe we would have planned, but in the end that provided some additional cost savings and benefits for us.
I'm going to pause because this is important and it might be too fast. Could you guys tell me, describe the system itself, what it powers within the building, how big it is?
Yeah, so this system is just like 40 kilowatt system, and basically we split the wattage between the two buildings. So really it's like, you can think of it as like two big screens. One screen is for one building and the other screen is for the other building. As you saw earlier, that's where you see the 3 sets of inverters on this building we're standing on with the solar, and then the 3 sets of inverters on the Ecoworks side of the building. So approximately 138 to 140 panels. We probably have a little room to add a few more if we wanted to, but that system gives us like a good size and production for our use.
Yeah, so while I don't have a total figure right now, it was really amazing this summer to watch our energy bill for the Ecoworks building completely zero. So we were exporting, I think, 20% more than we were using. And some of that, I think, is obviously due to us working remote this year. It's obviously not a standard operating year by any means. But it's been, working incredibly well. And it was really, inspiring to see our energy bill drop completely. I mean, we're paying a service charge, essentially. It supports our broader organizational goals of going net zero carbon across our operations, and a key aspect of that is electrifying the buildings. That's something that we're really advocating for, regardless of programs, but certainly, we're using our building as a demonstration space for how to decarbonize through electrification. And this solar array is really the driving force behind that. So we're hoping to be able to operate essentially all of our operations off of the solar array.
Yeah, I have to say that for me, at the onset of us beginning this process here at Ecoworks, it made me more interested in trying to move forward with getting solar in my home, because I know the benefits, and overall, it's wide-ranging benefits. Also, I think it's important to see more solar installs, not just commercially or nonprofit-wise, but just residential throughout our neighborhoods, so that young people, youth, children can ask about it, see it, and understand the benefits, as well as adults, parents.
Yeah, and from my end, a lot of my work involves consulting with local governments and other organizations, and it's been really, really useful just to be able to have this concrete example and say, we've had it for a year, it's working incredibly well. There's a lot of misconceptions still out there about solar, I think, and to be able to say, there are significant financial savings, but beyond that, environmentally, it's one of the best things you can do.
Yeah, so the cost has gone down in recent years for solar, for residential, but it still is a barrier. And so this is a way for us to kind of advocate not only the benefits for a nonprofit that's doing work around energy, sustainability, and equity, but also to kind of show that policy-wise we need to kind of start to push the envelope and to make sure that our utilities are supporting us and helping to bring low-cost solar, or in some ways, along with the state supporting the city, to our residents. So there's not something that's inaccessible to people when it has wide-ranging benefits, so as far as air quality, and just overall reducing people's energy burden, which is a key aspect of what our Ecoworks and EcoD department working with residents is trying to do, is reduce your the amount of money you spend towards your utilities.
A lot of ancillary benefits too that aren't necessarily widely discussed. For example, solar is a way to insulate a homeowner from rate case hikes. Energy rates continue going up. I think it's something that is a big concern across the community. Annual rates of upwards of 6% have occurred. So installing solar, you are providing a financial barrier as well to not have to deal with those essentially.
just the look that it will be more people and more organizations looking to, like, you know, again, push the efforts so that we can see solar. And as long as you hear about that and you see it, support it, ask questions, find out about it, and feel free to reach out, like organizations like ours or any other group that's working in our space, energy space, to help. Because we will need you to help make it where, you know, people realize that it really is important, so that our decision makers can really, like, you know, make it accessible for all of us. So as a city, we benefit.
You know, from conversations I've heard that, you know, people sometimes don't even think solar works in Michigan, and that here it is on our rooftop working. So I think, you know, ensuring that we've got some concrete examples, that there is a community push to keep growing the solar movement, I think is really critical.
That's it. I think you're muted, Diane.
Okay. So thank you. If you can stop sharing, then I can start sharing. Is that how we do
Oh, yeah,
it?
yeah, I
The
stopped
switch
sharing.
over?
Yeah,
Okay,
you're good to go.
okay. This is where, you know, my panic at, am I doing it right? Okay, so we have some questions, and I'll get this up as soon as I can. So we knew that was, oops. I put it up, where did it go? This one. Okay, I will try again. I keep trying to bring the new one up. Maybe I have to exit out of this one first. For some reason, I'm stuck in that one. Are there any questions while I fiddle with this and try to get the next screen up? Right now, Gibran and Henrik, maybe you could start introducing again and start to tell us how things have been going since last December, which was when the video was done.
Sure, yeah, thanks for taking the time tonight, everyone. My name again is Henrik. I'm an energy analyst with the Strategic Community Initiatives team at Ecoworks. Yeah, Gibran, if you want to do a short introduction as well.
Sure, yep, Gibran Washington, program manager for the EcoD department. And yeah, everything's been, I guess, fine in the sense as far as the building. And we had a few little issues, more internet related with our connectivity for just our monitoring, which we got solved today. So it's kind of a good thing. But other than that, so far so good.
I don't know how many people were intrigued with your building itself, but I'm hoping you can tell us a little bit about the Yamasaki building. And for all the architects out there or architectural advocates who know that perhaps Yamasaki, best known for the World Trade Center, had quite a presence in Detroit, and his firm was actually out in Troy for many, many, many years, up until maybe just 10 years ago, even though he had passed quite some time ago. So what a gift that you were able to purchase that building, and what a legacy to be able to put the solar on it. It's just so exciting. And no one would know that you're at 7 Mile and Lasher in the city of Detroit with that picture of the woods behind you. But anyway, okay, so let's go through the slides. Just tell me when you want to move forward, and you can talk a bit about your organization now in more detail.
All right, thank you. So Ecoworks, just from an organizational standpoint, over the we touched over 50,000 individuals served, 37 government partners, numerous over 300 business partners, and supported over 200 green jobs. And when you take all those savings on whether it's the residential, the municipal work that we've done through SCI or the Youth Energy Squad in the summertime, or just all the residential visits and energy kits, looking at over 30 million in savings.
Wow.
So next slide. So just a little bit of background that Diane mentioned. 22,400. So that's literally, we're across the street from, if you're familiar with the old Rogale Golf Course. It's currently in the process of being converted over to a premier green space by the city of Detroit. So it's also like not only a historic building, but beautiful surroundings. So yeah, Yamasaki building, American Concrete Institute, which I believe their office is currently in Farmington Hills. So that's what this building, he designed it for them. This was their main office. So it's themed around concrete and glass is what how Yamasaki looked at it. He incorporated, if you're aware of, know something about him at this period of time with his firm, he kind of took nods to what that company or business entity was doing. And so in the case of being a Concrete Institute, everything is really concrete. When I say everything, I do mean everything. So walls, floors, ceilings, those chevron or those Z-folds you see across the ridge line, that's concrete. And those windows, yeah, you see those are at least, I'm looking to the right here, I'm looking at one in one of the rooms right now, but those are at least 6 feet high windows, so lots of light. And then also he featured, if you might have noticed in that earlier video, the cat played, that central corridor that had a skylight going down the hall. So he really was playing with angles and light. So in other words, I think he was looking at, it's just me at the working in the building and being in it, it's hard in the sense we think about concrete, you think about, cold and hard. But he took little delicate features with the doors, like our doors have triangles, just like you see the front. So every door in the office is a triangle at the top. So it's just little things like that. The concrete walls in the hallway aren't like flat. They have these little like ridges, channels actually all through the wall. So just little texture aspects like that. That's not the original door. And also the front is missing, like originally they had a wall that kind of like was in the grass, kind of like, that came up to the street curb. So again, lots of light, concrete. Unfortunately, it might not be the greatest from an energy efficiency standpoint that time when it was designed. If you can notice, those window panes are separated by aluminum. So yeah, massive thermal bridging, and those are single pane windows. Those are projects that we're working towards, and we've been exploring different options. So that's what the Green Building Committee was basically set up to kind of identify these projects and then to work towards those decarbonization goals. Next slide. So our main primary focus areas: energy, electrification, water and green stormwater infrastructure. From the energy standpoint, Henrik mentioned the LED retrofit. And then also currently underway our VRV, variable refrigerant flow electric HVAC system. That'd be for both buildings. So the Yamasaki buildings, which Ecoworks is housed in, and then the attached building that was built later is the buildings housed by our community tenant that formerly owned the entire building, Insight Youth and Children Family Services. So that's the building that actually has the PV array on it. Currently, we have 2 stormwater catch bases. We have one bioswale and one rain garden. The larger basin or bioswale, if you will, is off the parking lot, and that captures all the water on the building that has the solar array. So all that water on that surface area is actually getting shuttled out to a GSI feature. And then we have another GSI feature at the other end of the building, to the west end of the building, going towards Berg Road. Also procurement policy. So really that's just that's something that's ever evolving, and just thinking about not just our own purchases, whether it's the cleaning products that we use, the paper, whether it's pens, whether it's supplies within each department, and also even materials that we try to provide for residents that we're distributing through our Energy Smart or other water programming. Just trying to incrementally and sometimes like kind of push, making sure that we're like thinking about what types of products that we're using ourselves and also providing. The keep carbon sequestration and composting, that's is something that we kind of building out now as we speak this year. And so you should hear more about that over the summer or towards the end of the summer. And as far as EV charging, we do have a couple company vehicles for a couple departments, one EcoD department and the Youth Energy Squad. And we are looking to next time around lease or either purchase some actual plug-in charging. So that'll be something that'll probably be installed, a couple plug-in chargers over the summer as they're completing our HVAC renovation. And then as far as like just community outreach in general, and that's primarily as far as the Green Building Committee and our Berg Lasher partners. We lie within the Berg Lasher Association neighborhood, which is bound by 7 Mile Berg Road, 8 Mile in Lasher. So really just working even more with them closer and just helping them because it's something they're interested in. They have some new rain gardens and it's a couple schools just nearby. And then of course we have this beautiful park or green space that's across the street. So that's going to continue to evolve, and we're definitely looking forward to working more closely with them. Next slide.
Okay, why isn't it moving this time? Oh, there we go.
So like I said, 2018, that was the LED retrofit. And then also benchmarking completed in Portfolio Manager. So we're able to track our energy savings long-term since we've been in the building and since we started our like green retrofit, so to speak. And then also we replaced our flat roof with it was a need with some leakage that we noticed, and so right away we knew that because we were moving forward with the solar that we had to address that, and we took the opportunity to get a white reflective membrane roof, and so that allows us to also get additional energy savings, which will play in line with the electric HVAC system that both buildings will be running on. So it'd be using as minimal kilowatts as possible as far as heating and cooling. And then I mentioned those internal drains that got rerouted from that building. So those were actually going right through the building, going to the main sewer line. So that's no longer the case. And in 2020, they completed, which was last year, the fall of last year, late fall last year, I want to say maybe September, they completed our project. You can see the picture, bottom picture, that's the larger one, and that's the one that collects off of the Insight building where their offices are, where the PV array is on top of.
So this year you'll see the flowers.
Yeah, we might imagine some of the flowers. I think some stuff we've been I've been taking a look, it's taking root, but I don't think the real color will be till maybe next year. Yeah, I think next year you'll see some good color. But yeah, nonetheless, it is doing what it's supposed to do, and these big rain events has definitely been capturing water, and
That's good.
It's been holding it, that's for sure, definitely. So just overview the solar project. So yeah, really, we initially real quick made a decision for solar. That wasn't brief. It wasn't a lot of debate or just discussion. And as an organization where every department, we were, we definitely was interested in going that direction. So that wasn't a hard step. The RFP development, that was interesting, and I learned a lot, and I think Henrik did too. We all learned a lot through that process. But I want to say we had at least 6 to 7 contractors that came out on site, and I want to say we got equally about that number of bids. So and how we did that, we did a pre-bid meeting where people were able to come out. We took them up on the roof so they can kind of see up close on the roof, and also allow them to see both our electrical rooms, just to get an idea of what kind of additional electrical work will need to be done, especially with the unique aspect of the Ecoworks side being the concrete, and then the other side with the Ray is more modern building, but 3 floors and similar some simpler challenges. I want to say at that time we hadn't removed the air handling unit that was on top of this building, which is, you wonder, that little like gap, that little space that you don't see arrays, and that's where that was taking up space. Also, that was like one of the things that was creating some leakage coming through the roof, those mounts. So that was kind of good. It was a good win with that. We did a proposal review with the team, the green building team, and then project selection, and then the long arduous road that Henrik can speak to a little later was the financing. Yeah, that was like walking through the desert, looking for a bottle of water, but it all worked out. And then installation, which really wasn't too many complications. They came in and kind of got going with the electrical systems, getting those inverters, drilling into those walls on our side. So not a lot of disruption, minimal, which is a good thing because we're still trying to maintain the historic aspect and nature of the building, despite retrofitting it. You still can keep the characteristics and originality, and also maintain this historical building. And then the array installation, and this is a beautiful picture, and you can see where they kind of wrapping up. I want to say that evening we were trying to get this in before the cutoff date for the net metering. So they were working around the clock, and I want to say they probably was still out there for another maybe an hour to 2 hours that night. Headlamps and other additional lighting that they probably had another couple dozen of panels up there in the corner to finish off. And then the little hiccups with the just getting that final grid interconnection on the paperwork and with DTE. That photo's looking west, by the way.
Oh, it's a beauty.
And I'll let Henrik take over from here.
Great, thanks, Gibran. Yeah, so one of the questions that we get often is, how did we finance this system? And we went through a exhaustive search trying to figure out, the best way to navigate that. Especially as a nonprofit, it can get a little more difficult than just a standard commercial business. We wound up selecting Distributed Power as our installer contractor. Then we worked with Michigan Saves and Collective Sun, as mentioned in the video, to partially access that solar investment tax credit. As a nonprofit, we're not able to fully take advantage of that because we don't pay taxes. But through that avenue, you will get about 50% of that ITC. So we were able to leverage that, get a little bit of a discount on the system, which is great. Some of the financing options that we looked at were power purchase agreements, loans, lease structures, just direct ownership, PPA with an ownership transfer after a few years, prepaid PPAs, and then looking at any kind of strategy for nonprofits to access that solar investment tax credit, because it is quite significant, especially for systems of this size. And then for all these strategies, we then analyzed the comparative projected savings at 10, 25, and 40 years down the road. 10 was kind of arbitrary. It's a nice number to have, decade results. 25 because that's the typical warranty lifespan of solar arrays. And then 40 because we anticipate this system functioning, well beyond the warranty lifespan, which has seemed to be proven out by older systems. So it'll be a journey. Next slide, please. All right, great. So this is a screenshot from a video that we released last fall, just kind of an overview of Ecoworks, but it's showing the property. So we have the Insight building is the flat roof that you see. That's where the solar array is actually installed on. And then you can see that nice skylight hallway in the Yamasaki building that Ecoworks is housed in. So as I mentioned, it was designed and installed by Distributed Power. It's about 40 kilowatts. It's 39.37 kilowatts if we want to get into the details of it. It's made up of 127 Trina Solar 310 watt modules. I saw a question in the chat if the panels are bifacial, and they are not. They're monocrystalline single-phase panels. And then we are using solar edge inverters and optimizers. The racking was from Sinclair Designs and Engineering, Michigan company, so that was great. And then, as Gibran mentioned, it's split into 2 sub-arrays. So it looks like one giant array, but there are actually 2 kind of distinct systems going on feeding each side of the building here. Next slide. So here's just some more detail on the inverters and the balance of systems. So the additional components, beyond the panels and racking. On the left here is the Insight building. So that's just kind of showing where the conduit run comes down off the roof, connects to the inverters, and then punches through the wall there to access our electrical room, which is the picture below that. On the right-hand side, we've got our Yamasaki building. We had to build a special mount for the inverters because there was really no logical or great way to mount them on the building itself. So again, we're trying to maintain the aesthetics of the building and not, do too much cosmetic damage to it. So built a rack for the inverters. Again, punch that through there to the electrical room for the interconnection. Next slide. So how has this been performing since we installed it? Since December 2019, which is when it came online, late December, we've generated slightly over 52 megawatt hours. So it's been really generating. We see a pretty significant drop in the winter just from snow cover and the angle of the panels and the racking and things. But it really starts picking up over the summer. So it's been working great. Through this, we've reduced our carbon emissions by more than 36 metric tons. That's for the entire system, so both buildings combined. And then at our current rate, we're looking probably at a return on investment within 11 to 12 years. That could change based on compensation or several factors, but it's looking like that's an approximate number at this point. And the screenshot there was from the Solar Edge monitoring app that we use to monitor our system performance in real time. That was just showing kind of the panel level detail that you can access. Yeah, it's such a great resource. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, but it's so interesting to me to see individual panel level generation over time. All right, so how does this kind of fit into Ecoworks' broader decarbonization, electrification, sustainability goals? This is just a list of the electricity-focused projects that we've completed now, showing the energy saved generated, so some of the broader impacts of these projects. LED retrofit, about 119,000 kilowatt hours reduced. Rooftop solar, 52,000. It's been active a few years less, so that's kind of the disparity there. For our climate accounting and carbon calculations, we're including transmission loss offsets from DTE's grid, which is around 7%. So it's definitely not negligible in my opinion. This is obviously not energy that we are saving money on, but in terms of accounting for emissions and upstream factors, we feel it's important to note that. So including the transmission loss offset, we have reduced over 180,000 kilowatt hours from the baseline. This corresponds to 130 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent reduced. And just to put that in more practical terms, we have some equivalencies here taken from the EPA calculator. So it's almost 28 passenger vehicles driven per year, about 16 homes energy use per year, and the amount of carbon sequestered by 159 acres of US forests. Next slide. So lessons learned. Solar is complicated sometimes is what we have determined through this mainly. It was a really powerful learning experience, particularly being a nonprofit, navigating that project financing. It did add quite a bit of complexity, especially working towards a deadline where net metering was being phased out. The ITC was also stepping down that year from 30% to 26, which is where it currently stands. Thankfully, it was extended, but there were just a number of deadlines that we were on a bit of a time crunch to meet. Luckily, we did meet them, and I think a lot of that goes to distributed power, to just being a really great partner throughout this. We learned, I guess, we hadn't anticipated that project management would be much more significant than equipment selection. I think, going into the solar journey, we focused a lot on, what panels are we going to get, what inverters are we going to get, and it turned out that the, financing and installation was the majority of the time, I would say. And just a note that the net metering option, having that really streamlined our initial feasibility study, made it much easier to kind of predict long-term financial savings, really just introduced a level of stability to the process that unfortunately is not currently in place. It's quite a bit more complex now to estimate savings over time, but luckily we were able to get grandfathered into that net metering system for the next decade. So just a note, support net metering. I'm sure we're all on board. Next slide. So upcoming projects, we mentioned this briefly, but right now we're in the middle of replacing our HVAC system. So we moved into this building. Some of the HVAC was original to the 50s and 60s with corresponding levels of efficiency, which you might imagine, leading to particularly high natural gas bills. So we're right in the middle of that now. We will most likely be completing that in the next, I would say, 8 weeks. We should be up and running. Potential delays aside, I suppose. But that is going to be a fully electric HVAC system. We will be removing all of our natural gas infrastructure in our effort to decarbonize our operations through electrification, and we'll be running that system, using our solar panels. We are also going to be installing breaker level energy monitoring to get a really granular sense of what our energy systems are actually doing in the building. So we've got a number of monitoring systems on the way. Like I mentioned, we have real-time monitoring of the solar through the SolarEdge app. We are going to be having a pretty sophisticated controller for the HVAC system. And then through this breaker level monitoring, I think it's going to be really interesting to see where we can get some further optimization goals. Next slide. All right, questions and discussion. I'll open it there. I did just want to end with a quick note of gratitude to GLREA for a lot of initial assistance in providing a contractor list, and just have been very supportive in this as well. So yeah, get in touch. Feel free to reach out to either Gibran or myself, and I will open it up to there.
Okay, so I'm going to try to get back to the main screen that I was on. I guess I'll stop share. There we go. Wow, thanks. I'm sure everyone felt inspired by the work you do to begin with. Some of you may remember back when this was warm training, and they were the guys that came out and helped you figure out your electric bill, and lots of good trainings out in the neighborhood. So going solar was an obvious step for you with this wonderful resource building that you have. It's such a treasure to have a building like this in Detroit, even if it is a big challenge. So let's go to the chat and see what kinds of questions we have. If we start at the top, we already know it's a 3-phase system. Kat included how you can look at the other lists. Is the Green Building Committee looking at hempcrete construction? Is that where you have hemp seeds or hemp fiber?
Yeah, it's super fascinating. It's something that I'm personally very interested in. We are not really integrating that into our projects currently because we're not doing much new construction. Yeah, I guess leave it there.
Okay.
It's great though. I mean, that's very interesting.
Yeah, same here. I mean, if a partner asked about it, and then yeah, I would probably work with them to support, research and getting more info. But yeah, right now nobody's kind of spoke to it, but it sounds like something I would be interested in. Overlapping interests with our own jobs.
We had a good discussion about historic preservation at the last Thursday, I believe, right? Talking about the different codes and how to blend solar in with historic preservation. But you had another challenge with trying to maintain that integrity of a concrete and glass building. So It's good to see that you're respecting that and not deciding that energy efficiency first. So it's especially challenging, and what a good idea to continue. Any other questions? Maybe we don't see them yet in the chat or comments.
Yeah, I'll probably mention it. Most likely, I don't know, just because it might just be a timing thing, but we hopefully, I don't cross my fingers, and me and Henrik kind of been bouncing around. We could run into a period where it might be a viable, not super costly product for the glass, where we, since we, they can kind of incorporate the PV into glass, or either like also get energy savings, so being more reflective and trapping energy. So we're hopeful with that. That aspect, but just again, keeping the integrity of the windows, and freshening up that reducing that thermal bridging, double painting, even just having double panes would make a big difference, and also just having some kind of tinting as opposed to just pure sun coming through would also allow the system, our HVAC system, to be even more efficient. I know going forward, but I'm thinking we'd be getting close to that window where it's going to be some somewhat affordable thin film, somewhat, maybe we can.
Yeah, the thin film, right. Janice, thank you. I know you're always looking out for the ASHRAE guidelines. But the question is, did you get the building listed, or has it been listed in the National Register as a historic resource?
No, we're not technically listed as a historic building yet, so that's made it quite a bit
Definitely
easier
should
to
be.
get these projects done. That said, we are following historical guidelines as much as possible to maintain that integrity, and also make it easier once we're able to pursue that listing. I think we're eligible within the next few years.
Well, Lafayette Park was listed long before it hit its 50th birthday. So
Okay.
I think the guidelines are generally 50 years. So yeah, you should contact the Historic Designation Advisory Board, or I can help you with that. That's something we can do. I don't know how many people are familiar with the old gas building downtown. It's the one with the naked lady statue out front. The big tall, the Top of the Flame was a restaurant that maybe some of you took a prom date to way back when, but I'm dating myself. But what a great example. And then Wayne State's campus too, of the Yamasaki legacy that we have here in Detroit. And that exoskeleton, I know I'm getting off the topic here, but that the structure being on the outside instead of the inside of the building. And yours, and what struck me was his desire to use the material. So we have the aluminum building out at the Lodge Freeway where it's all aluminum as well. But with the gas building, the giant lobby that's like 3 stories tall, and the blue lights under that at the ceiling, and the top of the flame, all to reflect gas, the blue light of gas, and just marvelous architecture. So you have a story to tell there that is part of the Yamasaki legacy that we should tell, especially for here in Detroit. So I digress. Any other questions about this project? What was it like working to get your, what did you end up with the PPA? I was curious about that. You had the 10-year, 25-year. What did you lock in?
Yeah, so the way that Collective Sun works is it's technically a prepaid PPA, which we then paid with the Michigan Saves financing. We looked at a variety of PPAs that were offered through our bidding process. I will note that as part of that RFP development and issuing, we opened bidding saying specifically that we wanted alternative financing proposals. So that I guess is another lesson learned. So we just kind of opened that up to see what would be available. There were a few pretty attractive PPA options on the table, but we just wound up going with the Collective Sun model, I guess, because the PPAs that we were able to access could not leverage that ITC in any way, and that kind of wound up being a deciding factor.
Yeah, I think that's something I'd really like to be able to follow up with the different PPAs and how they worked for our Renewable Energy Committee here in Detroit for a lesson learned for other nonprofits.
Yeah, I built a massive Excel spreadsheet that automated that a little bit, so I could share that if you like. Let's
put that work to use. That would definitely be a good idea. I think also with GLREA and maybe John Freeman, the idea of looking at the net zero buildings is really critical as well as part of the work that we're doing with other groups. And as you're getting closer to net zero, this would be a really good case study.
Yeah, I just want to answer I think one of the questions in the chat. We did get some geothermal proposals. One system is actually pretty cool. They had a custom, I can't think of the name of the company, but they had like a custom piping. Henrik can correct me. It was a unique way that they were able to like get better savings from any other installers. Again, just the cost was just kind of too much, but we definitely had a site that could have did it. We had a lot more to work with. We will be getting heat pumps for our hot water, so that is something that will be connected to our VRF system. So we thought about tankless, but I think we decided on the heat pumps because it easily can work with the VRF HVAC system. So yeah, it'd be a heat pump for each side of the building. Ecoworks side, we just have a water fountain and ladies in the men's bathroom. The Insight side, it's 3 floors, so you got a men's and women's bathroom on every floor. You have a kitchen downstairs, and then you also have a kitchen on the main floor. So that one will probably get more work, so to speak.
Well, Alan Waller is on this webinar, so he does geothermal. So maybe it's worthwhile touching base with Alan. He's with Water Furnace. Alan, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I was concerned about the VRF, especially with the changes in refrigerant coming up here in the next 2 years. They're going to be changing refrigerants again on us. And the new refrigerants has actually got propane in it and is actually flammable. And I'm not sure on where and how the VRF systems are going to operate with that much refrigerant running through buildings. But yeah, I would like to have an opportunity to look into and investigate a little bit further, especially with the tax credit still in place for commercial applications and reduced procurement on the tax investment. So there's a lot of good reasons. I could actually probably show you, yeah, the initial cost up front might be a little more expensive, but the cost of operation or ownership will show a positive cash flow and save you lots of money over the long term.
Over time, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going with Michigan Saves again for the continuing on your financing with the building?
Yep. Yeah. So we had quite a journey financing that. That could be its own webinar, I think. But yes, we did wind up going through Michigan Saves, and we connected with a group called Inclusive Prosperity Capital that does nonprofit financing.
Okay, so one of our board members is Patrick O'Boyle, so we always like seeing Michigan Saves being used with the organizations. Well, it's about 5 minutes to 8, so any last minute questions? I know, are you giving, well, COVID, we can't quite give tours yet, but I think it's, you have the draw of the energy people, the historic people, the Detroiter people, the nature people, the water. I mean, you've got a reason to have some tours there. So maybe this summer we can bring a group out and kick the tires, so to speak, climb up on that roof.
Yeah, we'll add to the education and outreach is a big part of all of our programs. So as part of the solar, we did also install 2 very small energy efficient monitors at 2 entrances of the building, showing in real time that SolarEdge app information, so that visitors can come and see and see how the solar is working.
That's great.
At the moment.
That's really great. And your youth squad, you didn't explain a lot about the youth squad yet, but I know you're training a lot of young people to be better prepared for energy futures. Did they get any solar experience?
Not on this project, but hopeful going forward we can kind of work closer with YES to integrate some of that to those students, especially maybe in the summertime. Might not be this summer, but maybe will be some this summer, and then going forward, like more especially as
Okay.
we get complete with all the building stuff. Yeah, I imagine when we get off, then we can kind of almost make it like more holistic, where we can kind of walk them through all the building systems. Give them the comparison, what you have
Yeah,
at home,
yeah,
what
that's
your
great.
school has, and compare it to what your, this building has.
Yeah,
Has
you're doing
Ecoworks,
such great work.
has Ecoworks explored community solar at all for your constituents or for some of the organizations you've worked with?
It's something that we talk about all the time, and
Yeah.
have been advocating for, certainly. That said, I mean, that's a complicated policy landscape, but we're certainly 100% for it. So
Yeah. We signed off and participated and supported numerous state and local, but yeah, we
Gibran,
definitely.
I know you were coming to our renewable energy committee meetings for quite some time when we had that on the agenda, but we're bringing it back up again soon. So,
Yeah.
and we're hoping that you can serve as a model for our other nonprofits that we're working with now, and
Yeah,
help
definitely.
bring them together with you for your lessons learned.
I might offer one thing that might be helpful, at least especially for Detroit, is like seeing some of the, in the city, I think with the sustainability office, also with Joel, just having that department. I know they're merged now, but that work can still continue forward. But just hopefully seeing either DPS, maybe even consider like, the potential savings with solar, and then that kind of can maybe, I think that primes the pump at some point, hopefully when, we're able to move forward with community solar. But I think, it's probably some innovative workarounds, but maybe not necessarily here in this state. But I think if it's cracked a little bit, if it's a little bit of a crack, it might be some really creative ways.
The door. Let's talk about doors opening instead of windows cracking. But yes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I would rather just kick it in and nicely kick it in.
No. And
but
we are working on regrouping on the green map, the solar map, so we can get these totals. So everybody can plug in what your total is every year or every month, so that we can see what the energy savings are, and we can have a tally for the whole city. So we can see how it's going with, as an example, look at how much energy we're saving citywide. So that's great.
Yeah.
It looks like one more question. What is your percentage of your total electric cost is the solar taking care of right now, or use maybe? Are you with your net metering? I know that's, you're lucky. Is it 80%, 75%? Do you know what percentage you're?
So I actually haven't summed it up for last year. We've just been focused on moving forward the other projects, but I think it was in July or June of last summer, we exported, I think it was like 20 or 30% more than we were using.
That's great.
So that was really encouraging. That said, we've also had, since moving in, quite a few issues with our meter being accurate. So that's why I'm really looking forward to getting these sub-level meters and breaker meters to actually ensure, we know what the building's using.
Yeah.
Because that itself was a question.
Yeah, monitoring is really important. Well, it's 8 o'clock, everybody. So this is the end of our third Thursday Detroit talk. I want to thank again our speakers, and again, Kat, for the wonderful video presentation. Next month, third Thursday, we're going to be featuring the Willie's Condominium project for anyone in the Detroit area. It's right next to Avalon Bakery. It's the first condo association that we know of in Detroit. Might be Michigan as well, that has put a solar PPA together. And they have a 95 kilowatt system on their roof that's taking care of their common area needs. Crazy amount of electricity for common area in that building, including elevators and all sorts of things. But so Diane Cheklich, my D2 Solar partner, is the speaker. Kat has another video. We'll get up on that roof, and then Diane will talk a lot about how the PPA structure worked for a condominium association. So we greatly appreciate everyone joining us. Spread the word on joining us on third Thursdays, as well as every Thursday night with GLREA. And have a good night.